Hey everyone, welcome to another video on DBT. In this video we'll be talking about DBT test. We'll see how to write singular and also generic tests. So let's get started. So first question is, why should I even bother to test? So let's understand why do you need to test your data. First, data integrity. So you should ensure that the data is consistent and accurate. So this is only you'll be able to find out if you do your data testing. Then quality assurance. This is very important. The quality of the data should be validated against some predefined standards. So this is something that you can do with DBT tests. Error detection. So identifying the differences early on your pipeline really helps you to identify the error coming into your data pipeline. So this is a very important aspect of DBT test. That suppose just imagine this scenario that you should not load any wrong data to your data warehouse, right? So that is something you can do with DBT test. You can find out the error quickly and can solve that issue. So let's see the types of tests in DBT. We have singular tests. So this can be written as a SQL query, and this is basically specific to a particular model. We'll see how to write this singular test. You have generic test. So singular test is based upon different models like a singular model, but generic test can be applied to any models that you are writing in DBT. So there are some predefined tests that is inbuilt in DBT, something like unique. So you can find if some columns are having all the unique values, similarly not null. You can have something called as accepted values. So you can define what are the expected values for this particular column. Similarly, relationship. If you know about primary and foreign key relationship, that takes care of referential integrity, right? That's basically you can have in DBT. This is all about the theory about DBT test. Let's go to practical. So what I did was, in a previous lecture, what we have seen that we have some seed file that we are entering. And so if we have this raw CSV file, you can just do DBT seed. So what it does, it just enter your data to a data warehouse. Once that's done, we are just writing one model. This model is not doing anything much. This is just selecting the data and it will just push your data. Okay, let's see this data in the data warehouse. To able to reflect this, you can do a DBT run. So I have already ran this, so I'll show you that in Snowflake. So if we just go to DBT tutorial, it should be an intermediate tables int order status, right? So this is just like the dump of the raw data. So you have some order ID, payment method and amount. But if you see some of the rows like this particular row, amount is 0. Similarly, you will have other rows also which is less than 100. Suppose this particular row, this is also 0. So it might happen that you might not need this particular record, right? Maybe this error is error record. This is not intended to be coming here. So how do you identify that, okay, this is the error data and you do not want to load this data to the data warehouse? So let's see the singular test now. So to create any test, you have a folder called a test. All you have to do is you create a file called a test _. You can give any name here. So I'm just giving the same name whatever I have in the model. So I have just created that model, right? So in that model, what I'm doing is I'm selecting all the columns and then I'm doing amount is less than 100. So I'm selecting every records which are having amount is less than 100. So what it is doing is, in DBT test, if this particular query returns some row, that means this test is failing. So I mean to say that if I want my pipeline to fail, if there are any amounts is less than 100, so I'll just write this query. So let me just do this. Let me just do DBT run. No, sorry, I have to do DBT test. So this is one more command that you can use to run your test. So if you see that the test has started and the test is also failed, then if you see the error, it will say that got 3 results, configured to fail if not equal to 0. So we are configuring that this query should not return any data. In that case, the test will pass. But if it returns any data, that means that I have some record which is having amount less than 100. To verify this, what I'll go to Snowflake, I'll just run the same thing, like I'm just querying that particular raw data, I'm just amount less than 100. So if you see that if I run this, I'll get 3 records. If you see that with this singular test, I'm able to identify, and I can think, okay, if any test happens, I do not want to do like DBT run, because that will mess up my transformation. So this is the example of singular test. Let's see like how to make generic test. In generic test, as we understood in the theory, that this can be applied to any model. To do that, what you need to do, you need to create a schema.yaml. If you remember in our previous lecture, we have understood like how to create documentation. Similarly, you can define schema.yaml. So this will have like model, which model it is. So my model is like integer order status. Then you define the description. This is nothing but I'm just giving one description for this model. Then you define the columns, right? Now I want to do some testing on top of the order ID. What I'll do is like I'll add some tests. So you have a test key, and tests are like, these are like predefined tests that is available. So what I'm saying is all the order ID should be unique and all the order ID should not be null. So this is my test. So let me just run this. Okay, so what I'll do is for now, okay, let me just run this. So if you see here, it is doing a unique test and it is saying that got 13 result, means there are 13 records which are not unique. Then this test is working, right? Similarly, you can add other tests for different columns, something like, okay, this is one example of relationship test, which is like inbuilt in DBT. What we are doing is order ID, we are creating a relationship with one more table. That could be like, for you can think about like we have one more data model, that is order ID mapping, and we are creating a relationship like ID. So what we are saying is only enter this particular order ID if that presents in this particular mapping table. So similarly, you can have different column here. So these are the tests applied for this particular order ID. Similarly, you can apply test for payment methods. What you are doing is you are testing as not null, and similarly you can have accepted values. So accepted values, you can provide the accepted, like what are the accepted values. So currently if you see that you have credit card, bank transfer, right? Similarly you can define the accepted values here. So I think now it's clear like how you define this generic test, and if you think that this I can apply to any particular model and any particular column, this test, right? Now let's see like how to create more generic test. Okay, for that let's think that what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to create a test like this. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to check the string length for any particular column. So let's think that I have a query like this. What I'm doing is I'm selecting everything from that table, and what I'm doing, I'm calculating the length of the payment method. I am saying that if there are any payment method that length is less than 10, then my test should fail. So if it gives any records, that means my test is failing. So basically this is like hypothetical test that I have written, and you can think about like, and we'll see like how to convert this particular test into more generic way. So I can do this DBT test. Okay, let me just, for now what I'll do is like I'll just remove all this test because it was just showing some error on that error, right? So let me run this DBT test again. So it is doing like 2 tests. If you see that test integer status, and it is doing check string length. Even test string length is failing because there are like 25 results which are like payment method less than 10, right? So if you see, this is very particular for this particular model, right? Now let's see, like if I want to create a test like this and I want this to be applied to any other model that I have in my project, how to do that? For that, we'll create a macros of test. So I have created this particular check string length.sql macro. I'm gonna create a macro of test, right? So this test macro starts with test, so it defines that this is a particular string. I'll have a function name, like you can think about this as a macros name. I'll provide 3 arguments. One is model name for which my test is applied, then what is the column name that it will be applied to, and I'll have a requirement length, right? This requirement is nothing but if I want to pass this particular column there, then how to do that, because not all the models I want to do like with 10, right? So that is one more argument. Then what you'll do is like you'll select everything from the model. You can also do select one here, and then I'm just checking like if the length of that particular column is less than the requirement length, then I'll just end this particular test. What it does, it creates a macro of test, right? And this can be applied to any model. Let's see how to apply this. So I'll go back to our schema.yaml file. So what I did was like we have the same structure for the schema model. So you define what model it is. You define what column you want to test it. So I'm particularly want to test the payment method. Then I define what test I need. Then if you remember, we used to do like not null unique. So similarly, you need to provide the function. So what I'm trying to do is like I'm trying to test this particular column and I want to provide the test. So this is the test that I want to provide. And basically if you see, this model name, column name is passed automatically, right? So model name is passed from this particular name and the column name is passed from here, right? Only thing you need to pass is the requirement length, so that you can pass as an argument. So currently I want to test it. Okay, I want to test it with 20. I do not want to run this particular pipeline if any payment methods is like less than 20. So I can do like DBT test now. Okay. So if we see that I got like test, this particular test have failed, it's saying that I have got 113 result. That should not be there, right? So to verify this, what we can do is, to verify this, you can just run this query in Snowflake and you will see that you got like 113 results, right? So this particular test is fine. So if we see that using macros and using test is so easy to use, right? All you have to do is you have to create a function and you define your logic in which the test is failed. So for this, like for this example, I have taken a very simpler test, but you can apply any complex test that you want. I think this is all I wanted to share in this video. With this, I think I'm gonna end this particular lecture. And if you like this video, just give a like to this video and just let me know in the comment section like what you want to see in DBT tutorial. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, do subscribe. Thank you so much.